Hey guys, welcome back to Mayfield Ranch. So today I thought I'd start our garden tour in our backyard garden and show you guys how things are progressing this week. So check out our Delicata Squash. It's doing fantastic. This basil here, it's doing fantastic. It's growing up. It's really pretty. We're ready to harvest some of that pretty soon. The peppers are looking pretty good. Got this butternut squash that I planted. So I bought one plant from the store and then planted those seeds. And of course, each week we have more volunteers, these little squash volunteers. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out. I think probably yellow squash or zucchini just got left out here because there's just so many seeds that are sprouting week after week, and you can see these things are huge. They've grown several inches and the weather's getting hot. They're getting some water. They're just thriving out here. So each week I'm picking these. They really wanted to grow right here in this space. You can see we have a bunch of them. So I'll get rid of these. I'll just give them to the animals. Over here, this is our Armenian cucumber. It's doing really well. And then all of our beefsteak tomatoes. We've got a couple poblano peppers, and the rest of this is all beefsteak tomatoes. So those beefsteak tomatoes are actually looking pretty healthy. If you saw a couple weeks ago, they were looking a little rough after the freeze, but things are going pretty well right now. They're looking good. And right here, these are 3 ground cherries. The one in the back garden's doing better. I'm going to show you guys that in a little bit. So over here, we've got our green onions, Roma tomatoes, and some more cucumbers. Now the cucumbers are looking pretty healthy this week. They've kind of gotten pretty green and they're looking good. We've got some more peppers on this side, orange habaneros. Those are looking pretty small. Gary planted some extra tomatoes right here. So these are beefsteak tomatoes, and he put that line in to water them. We've got a couple little watermelons and then more peppers all in this bed. I do have one little squash seedling here in the back. And of course, Luke's out here hanging out with me. What a good boy, Lukey. So I got that one little seedling right there that's popped up. So hopefully we'll grow that up on that trellis. And then more peppers over here. In the back over here by the greenhouse, we have like our little container garden going. It's got the bell peppers, some tomatoes, some hot peppers, and then I've got my Anaheim pepper here that I overwintered. It's looking really good, and we've already got just a bunch of peppers on it. So I'm waiting for these to get bigger and I'll just harvest them. But this is going to be early harvest with that Anaheim pepper. I've got some more beefsteak tomatoes just here growing in pots, and my new tabletop container set up here that Gary built that we just got started planting. Now in the backyard or back animal garden, and we've got all of our peppers, various sizes. Some of them are doing really well and some are still a little bit smaller. This is one of the volunteer squash, so we don't know what this is yet, but it's looking pretty good. More peppers. What I notice is this one here on the end is a sugar rush peach, and it's doing really well. It's getting quite a bit bigger and it's looking really healthy. Here's another volunteer squash. Now this one's getting really big. It seems to be really happy here. So we'll see what that is. We'll learn about that together once it starts growing some fruit. But it does look healthy. So hopefully it produces something really good. So we'll see how that goes. I've got my one little lone bush bean right here. My intention is to plant some more beans, so I need to get on that. The okra is looking pretty good. It was looking a little rough and now it's looking better. So that's good. And then here's my tomatoes. So if you watch the video, I'll actually link it below when I showed you guys when I planted these with the inexpensive trellis idea. But this tomato here is the one that I laid down and kind of planted in a trench. And as you can see, about a week later, it's already starting to stand up on its own. So it'll even get straighter probably within the upcoming week. Now I did have some volunteer basil that started to grow when I was doing some weeding. So I left that basil in because it'll be nice to have a little extra basil, even if nothing else, for the honeybees. On this side, we've got the Aunt Molly's ground cherry there on the left and some basil on the right. In the back there next to the trellis, those are all the rainbow cherry tomatoes. some San Marzano tomatoes here in the front, and then beefsteak tomatoes back there. So pretty soon we'll be trellising those up. We've got a couple cucumbers planted here. The rest of these sprouts are all Malabar spinach. It just came back. There's a ton of it. It's going to take over that bed. And I'm showing you here just the little sprouts, not even in the garden bed, but just outside on the ground. There's a ton of Malabar spinach sprouts everywhere. On this side, we've got that cherry tomato I planted that we're going to trellis up that arch. And then, of course, a bunch of Delicata squash, which is just starting to grow. So we'll get that all up that trellis. And over here in our ground garden, we do have a lot of weeds. Gary's been working pretty steadily out here to keep these down. But our zucchini, we've got a couple zucchini plants that are looking good. The spaghetti squash there is actually already starting to produce. So that's pretty exciting. We're seeing some grow there. And I'm getting my first harvest here of yellow squash. There's a couple little baby squash here that I can pick. There is one little unfortunate part about this, and that is I think that the rabbits found my garden. There's a little spot here, and I think that's a rabbit. I'm not 100% sure. So this was my attempt at trying to keep the rabbits out of the garden. We have this area that's kind of fenced off where we have a tree, and I've been just watering it and trying to keep all this grass green in hopes that the bunny rabbits would eat this grass and stay out of my garden. So let me show you this garden bed. There's not much in it, just some sage and some purple basil. And then these are my rattlesnake green beans. They're kind of off to a slow start, but hopefully as it warms up, they'll grow and do well. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this tour of our garden and getting to see how things are growing. Now, I encourage you to grow right along with us. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so and ring that bell so you're notified when we put out a new video each week. See you guys later.